All right, man. So let's go ahead and answer this nonsense. He says, so explain why Vince McMahon sold his kingdom. This is too easy, man. He sold because he had been there for about 50 years. When you build something and you see the value in it and you're already a billionaire, selling it off to right off to the sunset is one thing. Maybe you're tired of working. Maybe it's time to retire. That's not Jordan, by the way. But let's go ahead and talk about it a different way. Look at all the sports teams in the world. What gives it its valuation? Think about the best sports deal of all time, and I would tell you that's Donald Sterling in the NBA. He bought the Clippers for about $10 million, sold them for $2 billion. I'll let you count up how many times that is. But besides having like a 200x position, go ahead and look at something like China actually runs the NBA. This is why LeBron can't have a stance. This is why Mark Cuban's really particular on how he fights his battles, in the open media. They all are. It's all the same way. Everyone walks on eggshells because corporate dollars matter. The banks matter. Well, let's go look at Saudi Arabia. What did they do? They bought their way into the golf world, took it by force, and you could do nothing about it. That's what's going to happen. Guys, you don't think that private equity is involved everywhere? You don't think that these guys can come over and take what you have? They'll buy their way in, and or they'll make the competing thing and take over. The NFL's on notice. NFL's very careful with the way they select owners, the way they do. But guess what? Robert Kraft's an owner, and Robert Kraft was on the board of directors for Apollo for X amount of years, being in all those investments that are private equity. So you literally have to know that you can be bought out at any time. But let's think about Saudi Arabia. That's a country that uses oil as currency. We don't do that here. We did that at one point, but then what did we do? We broke it up. It's called Standard Oil. If you don't know it, go Google it. We had a monopoly going, and they broke it up. And then you had little portions, something like, look at the Gettys, okay? Think about the Gettys. The Getty family, $2 billion, $3 billion, whatever it may be, they owned oil, and what do? They partner up with companies like Plumber Jack. I think that's what it's called, Plumber Jack. That's the Gavin Newsom winery and restaurants. And why do I say this? Because in America, when you're rich, you use your money for power. And how did they do that? Well, when SBV, Silicon Valley Bank, is going bankrupt or defaulting, they get bought out and saved. And why? Because they actually have the money of Gavin Newsom, three businesses wise. So the oil company, the Gettys, they go ahead and make the call and say, hey, come save our little company here. They don't care, guys. It's all political favor. That's what happens in the U.S. But in other countries, like Saudi Arabia, the big gas station, like Russia, the next gas station, these guys use energy to buy their way into things. So you guys go figure out the influence that they have on this world and on this market. But remember, this is why LeBron doesn't speak out against China, because he doesn't want to get his card pulled. Why do you sell? You sell because you make mistakes. That's why you sell.